Coming up next at noon, right now, Sheriff Leon Lott is holding a press conference discussing the 2025 crime stats. We're going to take a live listen on that in just a few moments. Plus, a Richland County deputy is recovering after being hit while working a construction detail. We have all those stories and more in just a few moments. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for News 19 at noon. I'm Xavier Harris. Right now, a Richland County deputy is recovering after being hit while working a construction detail, and it was caught on camera. Take a look at some of this video. Now, it happened just after 11:15 Monday night on I-126 West near the Colonial Life Boulevard entrance ramp. Now, you can see Deputy Jordan Knight was inside his patrol car when another driver hit him. He was treated at a local hospital for minor injuries and later released. The driver, 64-year-old David Dudley, he was not hurt and the construction crew was not injured as well. This causing deputies to remind drivers to slow down when they see flashing lights. As for Dudley, he was charged for speeding. All right, if you take a step outside right now, you might get confused on what season is right now. Feels like a summer day outside.
Oh my goodness, I love this. I cannot tell you how excited I was to see 67 degrees downtown in Columbia. In January, this is really well above the average, and we haven't reached our high temperature just yet. It's going to get warmer even from here. We've got wall-to-wall sunshine for most of you. Temperatures even reaching 70 degrees right now. The lucky couple here from Aiken and from Orangeburg. Temperature is going to continue warming up. The warm pattern is with us. Look at the blue sky for all of these reporting locations. Sumter, Aiken, over to Columbia, as well as Newberry. It's looking good. We're going to gain maybe another 5 to 8 degrees or so because there's nothing but sunshine. There's a couple of clouds along the low country, but outside of that, we're expecting blue skies to stay with us at least through the rest of the day, and today's forecast does improve our temperatures up into the mid-70s. We'll put a number on it. We'll call it 75 for our daytime high temperature, although some of your mileage may vary a little bit depending on how much of a start you got. Now, we stay warm through the rest of this week. I'll have a look at your 7-day forecast coming up.
And happening right now, Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott is holding a press conference releasing the 2025 crime stats. We're going to take a listen in that press conference right now.
That's the generation that we're losing. And then when you look at those that's been arrested and the ages of them. So when you add that up, that's 63 lives that's been impacted, 63 families. When you count the ones who've lost their life and the ones who've been arrested, you know, basically they've lost their life too because you know, they're going to be prosecuted for murder and they'll end up in prison. So that's some 63 families that's been directly impacted by mostly the guns. If there's, I don't want to call it something positive about all this is we have not had an unsolved murder in Richland County in 3 years. It's 3 years in a row now we have solved every murder that's happened in Richland County. And I challenge that if you would check with any agency or area similar size to Richland County, you're not going to find that. Even smaller agencies, large agencies, it's rare that you can solve every murder that you have. And here it is 3 years in a row that we've been able to do that. You know, that's a positive side to when the crime gets committed that somebody's lost their life, that we're so dedicated that we're going to bring justice to the families. We're going to bring justice to the victim. And I think that's very important. And sometimes we lose sight of that and we don't talk about it as much as that. You know, we solved every murder for 3 years. Every murder for 3 years. How? Well, it's a combination. One of the first things is our uniformed deputies who respond to scenes know exactly what to do. They process the scenes, they secure the scenes. Our investigators, crime scene people get there, investigators get there. It's a team effort. And I think that's one thing that really makes us successful investigating murders is it's not one or two investigators that are assigned a case. You watch these TV shows and you see where a crime is committed and they'll have one or two detectives that are assigned to work the case. We do it as a team. Everybody that represents the different sections of the sheriff's department is part of it. They sit in a room together and you share information and you give out tasks to be done, and they get done very quickly. And then you bring technology into that. Technology has improved so much during my career. We're doing things now, it just never would have thought 50 years ago that we'd be able to do such things. So when you take technology and you take the team effort that we got, and then you put the community involved. Community plays a huge part. You know, we've worked so hard over the years to build trust with the community where they trust us and we trust them. The community doesn't hesitate in calling and giving us information. You know, we put something out through the media asking for help, people call. People call. There's not a crime that we've had committed that we haven't profiled a person or put a video out that somebody doesn't call and give us the information that we need that helps us out. So our forensic lab has been open since 2002. The first one in the state besides the state laboratory. And people say, well, why did you do that? Because we can solve crime with it. We don't have to rely on somebody else. We can take evidence from a crime scene, goes upstairs in this building, and in a very limited, short period of time, we've got the results that we need. That's the technology that's there. So, you know, our lab is one of the top-notch labs. We're going to continue to improve it. We're going to continue to stay on top of technology, which means we're going to continue to solve these cases that we've got. When you start looking at other crimes we've got, our sexual assaults, we're down. Our robberies remain the same. Assaults were up 15%. You say, well, what do you attribute that to? A lot of these assaults are contributed to our homeless people. As the homeless has been moved more and more out into the county, we see a very negative impact that they have on crime. That's what our assaults, but also when you look at our larcenies. We'll go to our property crimes, you'll see that there's been a 13% increase in larceny. That's shoplifting. That's shoplifting. That is homeless people going in and shoplifting. Homeless people going in and stealing stuff at night. There is a tremendous problem with our homeless people that, you know, we make it comfortable for them to do these things. You know, we want to feel sorry for them, and you know they're homeless. You know, and they're standing on the street, and you know we see that, but we don't. You don't see them going into stores and stealing stuff. You don't see them breaking in places at night. We see that. So I attribute a good bit of our increase in our assaults and our larcenies to the homeless situation that we've got. Again, as it's spread out throughout the county, we're seeing more and more negative impact that they have. I talk about guns a lot, and we should talk about guns a lot because that's one of the sources of our problems that we've had. We've had over 1,600 guns that we recovered and put in our evidence room. That's guns that we recovered from crime scenes. That's guns that we've taken off of people who illegally had these guns. The number of stolen guns that we recovered was 177. Out of those 177, 46 of them had been stolen out of cars. Your vehicle is not a holster. Don't leave your gun in it. We keep saying that over and over and over. We've seen some improvement. We continue to see improvement. But we continue to have people leave guns in the cars. We had 3 cars broken into last night in an area. One of them had a gun in it. That gun's now on the street. It'll probably end up in a shooting or something at some point. I get asked, where did these young people get guns from? It's from people leaving guns in the vehicle. And vehicles being left unlocked or even broken into now. And the gun gets stolen and ends up on the street. So our gun crimes continue to be at the forefront of just about everything that we have to deal with, is the violence. Another initiative that we started last year was our parent accountability. I've been asked, well, why you want to lock all these parents up? The answer is they're not being parents. They're enabling their children to go out here and commit crimes. They're helping to commit kids commit crimes. They need to be held accountable. The goal was not to have all these pictures up here with parents getting locked up. The goal was to get parents to actually be parents, and we've seen that happen. We've seen a big increase in parents asking for help, and that's what the goal was. Our youth services has seen a 40% increase in parents and grandparents asking for help. Parent support groups asking for help. What can I do? What can I do? What can you do to help us out? And so we have these through our youth services division. So the negative is holding parents accountable and locking up some. The positive being it's got the attention of some of these parents who may have been right there on that line. Which way am I going to be? Am I going to be a parent or not going to be a parent? Now they're saying, I better be a parent or the sheriff's going to come lock me up. And we've heard that words right there. I'm not having the sheriff come lock me up. Here's where my son, my daughter's got some stolen stuff. This is what I've know that they've been doing. So that part's working, and we're going to continue to work on that. We've got to do more as a community. I'm standing here talking about this, but this is not a law enforcement problem. This is a community problem. Crime is a community problem, and as a community, we need to address it. And that's our churches, our schools, civic organizations, just people. I always talked about it takes a village to raise a child. Richland County is a big village, and everybody needs to be part of it. Part of our youth services is our youth arbitration program. We've had this in existence for quite some time. I will stand here and brag that it is one of the best in the state. It's been recognized for the last 3 years as the best youth arbitration program in the state. That's 3 years in a row. These are young people that need to be held accountable for something minor that they've done, but they don't need to go to jail. They don't need to have a criminal record. They need to be held accountable, but then they need to be educated on moving forward. Our youth arbitration is just wonders. Monica Parker runs it for us. She was named Deputy of the Year for what she's been able to do with that program and what she's been able to do with reaching out to kids. I get asked, what else do y'all do? You go to any school in Richland County, you're going to find a school resource officer. There's 102 school resource officers right now building relationships with our kids, doing something positive with them every single day in all of our schools. People say, well, why do you go to churches? Why do you go to communities? Why do you go to schools? That's all about building relationships. We have a program called High Five Fridays. On Fridays, groups of deputies will go to an elementary school and the kids get off the bus or the car rider line. We got music playing, deputies are dancing, they're high-fiving the kids, talking to the parents. That's building a relationship. That's building something positive. So when something is negative and they see it, they don't hesitate in working with us to solve the problems. That's what it's all about. It's not complicated. It's just about going out in the community and being part of the community. So when you look at the amount of crime that we have, you see it's about steady. It's not rampant, it's not out of control, but it's too much. There's too many lives that we've lost that's in the cemetery. There's too many lives that we're losing because they're in prison. We still got too many victims out here for property crimes. We got a lot of work to do. We're gonna do our part. We're gonna continue to do our part every single day. I'm just standing here asking the community, and that's to everybody in the community, be part of the solution. If you're not, you're part of the problem. Questions?
Sheriff Derek Rush from WIS. One question I want to ask is a bird's eye view perspective. You mentioned a lot with, assaults, larceny, but also some of the improvements and the decreases in deaths from one year to the next. I guess as a matter of fact, would you say that it would be safe to say from a crime and safety perspective, things have been on the upward trajectory in Richland County
Compared to what?
compared to what they've been in years past?
You go back 15 years ago? We probably have, 15 years ago, we probably had 15 murders, 20 murders. We've always been in that number. What we've seen, though, is that the amount of violence with our young people and guns, that's what's driving the murder rate. And that's not just Richland County, that's nationwide. So, as things increase, yeah, I think things have increased because attitudes have changed. Attitudes have decreased. Parents have decreased being parents. That's where it all starts. Not just the schools with the 102 school resources we've got. Everything starts at the home. That's where it starts.
With solving all of the murders in the last couple of years, and you would think that would deter some of the suspects that's out there committing these crimes, do you believe that some of these young people are simply not getting the message? And we know that parents are not being parents like they used to be, but do you think these kids are not getting the message of what you guys are capable of doing from a law enforcement perspective?
How many of these kids that are carrying guns do you think are going to watch this press conference on TV tonight? They're not. They're not. They're not going to know that. They know that we're solving these crimes, but they're like most people, don't think they're going to get caught. They have that attitude of, I'm too smart, I'm not going to get caught. They all get caught. So if they don't watch it in the media, then where are they going to know about it? That's where the parents should talk to them. Most parents are probably going to see something about what I'm talking about today, but are they going to discuss that particularly with their teenagers? Probably not. Probably the ones that need to hear it. They're not going to have a parent tell them about how Sheriff's Department's got technology, they got good investigators, they got the community support. You commit a murder in Richland County, your butt's going to jail. You're going to get caught. It don't matter how old you are, you're going to get caught. I don't know if that conversation happens enough. I'd say no.
Sheriff, you pointed out some gun seizure as well as stolen guns on one of the slides. I don't know if you have this information readily accessible, but have you noticed a trend change from 2024 to 2025 on the amount of those that were maybe illegally modified or might have had switches on them or anything? Have you noticed a trend of there being less of those or maybe
More.
more?
I mean, that is the thing to do now, is have a switch on your Glock that makes it into an automatic weapon. Nobody carries a revolver anymore. Then they went to pistols and assault rifles, and now they're with pistols that have the switch on it that turns them into an automatic weapon. So yeah, we've seen a lot of that. That's a lot of our shootings now are with Glock switches that makes it a fully automatic, which also makes it where you can't control the gun, which means bullets are going to go flying all over the place. Look at the shooting that happened Saturday at the apartment complex on Alcott Road. The distance those shooters were, how many rounds they fired. They didn't care if there was kids in those apartments. They didn't care where those bullets went. If that's nothing demonstrates the lack of caring by people with guns, and that shooting did this weekend. 20, almost 30 rounds that were fired across a parking lot into an apartment building. at somebody who's standing outside in the breezeway. They didn't care where those bullets went. They didn't care who got hit. They'll get caught. They'll get caught.
Are we still seeing a large portion of these crimes committed by repeat offenders?
Of course. We are. Catch and release. It has improved a lot. I will give credit to our judicial system with our judges and our magistrates. I think particularly our magistrates have tightened up a good bit. They've seen that they're going to be held accountable, but they also, I think, are realizing that when they let these repeat offenders out, that's what a negative impact it has on our community. So, but we still have a lot of them. The guy who threw the fireball at us this weekend that broke into a house, did a home invasion, out on an ankle monitor, been convicted of a lot of different crimes, had revocation of his probation numerous times. We just arrested him December the 5th and had to fight him. He's out on bond. So yeah, there's a poster child for repeat offender right there. That just happened this weekend.
Going back to the Alcott drug shooting, are the suspects believed to be adults, juveniles, or a mixture?
In which shooting?
The Alcott drug.
I'm not going to tell you their ages right now until I stand up here and talk about them going to jail. And they will get arrested.
How concerned should residents be about that incident?
I'd be scared to death. I'd be absolutely terrified that something's going on where I live. Just look at the number of bullets that went through that people's walls into cars. Again, I've said this many times, Senator, only by the grace of God, I'm not standing here talking about we've had 100 and something people killed. It's not that these guys and girls with these guns could care less. They just shoot, and they continue to shoot.
Will there be increased patrols in the area?
Yeah, I mean, our patrols are all over the place, but you can't be everywhere 24/7. So again, it goes back to attitudes and caring. And groups like what you saw on Saturday just don't care. They don't care. Now they will care when they get handcuffs put on them. Then they'll care a little bit at that point, but then it's too late.
Sheriff, what can be done about thefts by the homeless community?
Don't make it comfortable for them to be able to just do whatever they want to do. I think as a community, we make it comfortable, we enable them, and we allow them to, we feel sorry for them. But again, ask these business owners, how do they feel about them when they're constantly coming into their businesses and stealing stuff or causing problems, running their customers off because they're out there begging in the parking lot. And I don't just mean passively begging, very aggressively. It's a problem. And we've seen crime increase due to the homeless situation. It happens. They break in at night, and they steal during the day from businesses. That's a fact. But nobody wants to talk about that. It's just. But we need to talk about it. So we want to make it uncomfortable for them. If they need help, then there's a lot of resources. Go to the places where there's resources and help for you. But we're going to make it uncomfortable for you to go out here and steal. Just on.
Sure.
These type of, sorry, Derek.
I was just going to go back to what you were saying as far as patrols. A large presence of deputies throughout the county. Obviously, sometimes those patrols can get a little risky, as recent as what happened on 126. How is the status of the deputy that was involved in that crash? Was that, as far as what happened?
The one that happened last night?
Yes, sir. It was earlier this week.
Okay. We had one last night. We had a deputy that was responding to a call, ended up in a wreck. He's fine. Car's totaled. He's fine. I mean, it is dangerous out here. I don't think community realizes just how dangerous it is. We had a guy on Saturday night threw a fireball at our deputy. It's dangerous. These are the people that we have to deal with every single day. We deal with stupid stuff. Deal with a lady urinating in the Publix. You have that all the way to somebody who's trying to kill us. So that's what we deal with.
Sheriff, just one quick question. What would be your message with all this crime and high rate of violence that's just unimaginable? What is your message to reassure the residents that live in these communities?
We're going to catch the bad guys. That's the message to the bad guys, and that's the message to the community. Continue to work with us. We're here for you. We're going to continue to do our job. We're going to lock them up, but we're going to do everything we can to prevent them too. We're not giving up, and I don't want the community to give up either. There's help, and we're part of that help. All right, thank y'all.
I didn't see the video.